I will make a backup recording for you.
Oh, that'd be swell. Okay. I'm
Yay.
gonna start it now. Hi, everyone. Also, I should introduce myself. I'm Brian, otherwise known as Hellowack. Good friend of Havlark's here. I've been doing game jams for a long time. I've been using Godot for not as much, but I think it's a really neat tool. It's very lightweight. It's very quick to get started. This is my background. It is the English Bay Barge. It was drawn by my girlfriend.
I was
Uh,
gonna comment on your beautiful barge fan art.
it's great.
Yeah.
No, it's not mine. I can't take credit for that, but I really love it. Anyways, so the way that this is going to work, this presentation is going to work, is that the first half is going to be me talking about the Godot engine in general. If you have watched Bracky's tutorial, which we have linked in the Discord, it's not going to be much more than that. We will have an opportunity to like talk about stuff if you're confused about it, but like honestly, it's Bracky shows you a good chunk of things, and I'm going to show you even less than that because I'm lazy.
Those videos are in the resources channel for anybody watching this recording.
Yeah, thanks, Avlark. They're pretty good, honestly. The first, like, you can always honestly just watch the first one. That'll get you started. And if you have an interest in coding, then the second one, talking about GDScript, will also help. I will talk about some stuff about GDScript in this one. You also do not have to follow along with what I am doing, because I'm going to make a mini game from scratch, and I'm also going to put that mini game into our project. So
Oh my God.
feel free to do that.
Powerful.
But yeah. What else? I already talked about the questions. So the first step actually is the easiest step, which is to install Godot. And if you haven't done so, I encourage you to do it right now because it will take you all of 30 seconds, which is go to godotengine.org, download latest, and then click on this button. It'll download, and you can literally just run this file, and what you see right here is what will pop up. Unlike Unity or Unreal, what it'll take like an hour to download all these assets and whatever, Godot just works, which is super cool. The next thing you want to do is import your projects. I've already done so, and I'm too lazy to go through that whole process, so I'm just going to show you what we got so far. If I open up this first one, got the mini games project. So this is the whole Godot engine. Also, I hope this is large enough for people to see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
looks good to me.
Okay, cool. So
Does
here's
control mouse wheel work on this?
Does control mouse wheel? It does. If you go to these scripts and you can zoom in,
It does, okay.
and you can read
That's so cool.
my text. You can also reshape some of the windows. There's a lot of windows. I'll point out the important ones so you don't have to get overwhelmed. If you look at the very top, there's 4 tabs. There's a 2D tab and a script tab. This is mostly what we're going to use here. 2D just shows you the game here, and in fact, I can actually switch over to the runner mini game, which you all know and love. If you click the script tab, it'll show you all the code scripts. I also think it's really neat that Godot gives you it has like the coding and the inside the engine, so you don't have to like juggle installing
The
a different
editor.
editor. Yeah.
Oh, that is really nice,
Yeah.
actually.
You don't
Are
have to-
these all the scripts in the project or in the scene?
This is both actually. These are all the scripts that I have opened from the project. And as a nice aside, if you go to the bottom left, there's a file system here. These are all the files that are in the game currently, organized into neat little folders. But yeah, inside the scripts folder, there I'll go into it in a bit later. But the Godot scripts are written in GDScript, which is their own language, which I have described earlier, is basically Python. It's Python, Beamer. You know it to be true. But
It
you can
reminds
just,
me a lot of Python and C# put together.
yeah, and I
which
know a
is
bit of C#, so
Very cool.
it's pretty neat. A lot of and I will demonstrate it later. But the really nice thing about GDScript is that it's written specifically for the Godot engine, which means you can do some wacky shit that you cannot do, like you would not be able to do with other languages, like drag and drop references into the code and it just connecting. But anyways, files. So your main, I'm gesturing with my hand, you can't see it. The main window is the middle. You can swap between the tabs, 2D script, all that cool stuff. The file system will show you this stuff here. I'm actually going to close these. Yeah, so Okay, I'm gonna pause for a minute. Anyone confused about the UI with Godot yet?
I have a quick question.
Sure, boss. What's up?
So we have 2D, 3D, and script up top.
Yeah.
Is 3D just the same scene but seen in 3 dimensions?
Correct. So, in fact, if I pull one of these up here, scenes, and also as a quick aside, I've not used Godot's 3D like capabilities. I hear it's pretty decent, but like I've not used them. I also don't know how compatible they are. They should be, but someone else can figure that out, I'm sure. Also, by the way, I should have said this at the beginning. Again, I am no expert on Godot. If someone here has used Godot more than me and wants to actually interrupt me and explain something, please do, because I'm learning too. So, just throwing that out there.
Since you
I will
since you said
gladly-
that,
Blast me.
since you said that, 2D and 3D are two separate engines, so they're completely separate. So anytime you see 2D, it's in 2D scenes, and 3D is like a totally separate thing. Scene can have 2D and 3D elements, and 2D, once you put it in the control node, 2D will show up on top of the 3D scene.
So if we wanted to
interesting.
incorporate 3D into our, sorry, I'll get to you in a moment, Laura. If we wanted to incorporate 3D into our game, into like our 2D game, should we start working in 3D? And in that case,
I think the transition themselves are okay with it in 2D and stuff like that. So for 3D, like it would just load as in any other scene. I think the only possible gotchas is that just keep the project in compatibility mode. If we're
Yes.
building for a web, that should work.
okay, yeah, that's another thing that I don't want to go too far down that, but just to demonstrate what surprise. Do you want me to say your real name? I'll say real names.
Yeah, Jason's fine.
Jason. What Jason was saying, if I go to the project list here and I were to create a new project, it asks you here, if I hope you can read that. It asks you what renderer to use, and there's 3 different options. Each of them tells you like, oh, this is how well we can render 3D, but it also limits what platforms you can export the project into. Which is a bit of a limiter, but you can also change that later on, so it won't like lock us out of things. Hopefully, we just have to like update scenes and stuff. That's what I was told.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think you have it in the top right of the editor when you've got a project open.
Oh, do you? Wait for that to load. Oh, there it is. Compatibility. Look at that. Yeah, you can change it up here. Sorry, someone else had a question?
No, I think my version of Godot is not allowing me to make a 2D product, so I might have a different version. I might have to.
There are so there are different versions of Godot, but like if you were to go to, first and foremost, which OS are you on? Are you on Windows, Mac?
I'm on Windows.
Windows, yeah. When you download latest, there's 2 options. I kind of skipped through them. The top one is the basic engine. The second one is .NET, which is if you were using C#, which looks very similar, but we're not using that version. We'll download as mono. And when you actually open the folder, I'll pull it over here. If you open the folder of Godot and you unzip that file, it'll give you 2 exe files to run. One is the top one is the engine. The second one is the console, which is something different.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you just double click, it should look like that. 4.3 stable win64.exe.
Okay. Yeah. I think I was
Another
just
fun fact for you: Godot is also on Steam.
Yeah, you could also just
cool.
I forgot about that. You can just pull up Steam and load Godot. That's actually how I got into it, is because a friend of mine was using it. I kept seeing their little notification, and I was like,
yeah.
I wonder what that is.
Oh, that's cool.
So, anyways, so with that out of the way, I'll just quickly go over some basic, what's it called? Oh, I'm sorry. Is there any more questions before I move on to the next bit?
Also, I'm an idiot. I just didn't see the 2D tab. That's it.
You're
I'm
Gucci.
just purely a
You're
moron.
not case.
Aw.
No
No,
one's born
You're
knowing how
learning.
Godot
no
works.
self-deprecation allowed here.
Yeah. How dare. So, Also, I'm gesturing a lot with my mouse. Is that something people can see?
Yeah,
Kind of.
I can see it.
Wahoo! Okay, I'm gonna keep doing that then. So I'll quickly go over some key concepts of Godot. Excuse me, which as someone who I'm another bit of background. I come from a Unity background, so I'm familiar with like game objects and prefabs and stuff like that. So Godot does have very similar concepts. So as an example, on the top left here, you'll see a whole bunch of stuff. This is the scene tree. It is essentially this is just everything in the game. Everything in that shows up in Godot is this window came over here. That's weird. Are known as nodes. So if you take a look at here, a node is essentially just something in that will show up in Godot. It can be everything from like a button to a full-on enemy to a piece of UI or stuff like that. Godot has a bunch of pre-made nodes that you can use. So for example, if you wanted to make like an animated sprite, you can find the animated sprite node, you can find the animated sprite node, which extends the base node class. So you can think of node as kind of like a game object. Nodes will show up. So like everything you see on this top left, the scene here, these are all nodes essentially. Each of them do different jobs. You can nest them into like a tree-like structure, which is cool. So for example, this cool introduction is actually a intro label node that I've dragged and dropped into here. You can add nodes through this cool window. You can make your own custom nodes as well, which I will show later.
Ooh.
Yeah. So if you're like, oh, I want to, I don't know, a gun node, but Godot doesn't give you a gun node, you can make a gun node sort of deal. Yeah, and a similar thing is you can save nodes into what are known as into scenes. So scene files, and you'll see these down here in the bottom left. These are essentially like blueprints or prefabs in Unity, if you're familiar with those. It essentially allows you to save a whole collection of nodes. Actually, probably a better example is if I were to crack one open here. So here's that's the code. That's the main menu. Here's the runner mini game that we all know and love. So this whole thing, this runner mini game is a node, which is cool, but it's also a scene because I've saved it here. So this little bit, what you're seeing in the window right now is just that saved scene of the runner mini game. It is a collection of a background picture, the finish line, and the runner. And then I've just packaged that all into a scene, and then I load it in the minigame manager. I don't know where I'm going with that, but that's basically nodes and scenes. They're important. They're cool. They also have their own scripts and stuff. So if you look at the top of the runner mini game, there's a little scroll icon. If I click that, there's a whole bunch of code that I wrote for the runner mini game. That's another thing nodes can have. They can have scripts which give them custom behavior, which is cool. Yeah, where am I going? Did that make sense? I hope it made sense. It made sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it's all in a logical kind of order. Everything's sorted in a logical way. Is there, I'm sure you'll get to it, an asset viewer / manager? Like that's one part that I'm used to seeing through system file hierarchies.
There
is
is
important to me as an artist. Yeah.
For sure. So yeah.
Assets.
Yeah, assets. There's definitely them. I forgot to point out the inspector tab. It's on the. I'm pointing in my hand again. On the right here, if you click any of the nodes, it shows you all the details of said node. As for your question on assets, those will also show up in that kind of right side inspector. So for example, if I go to, what do we got here? We got some sprites down here. So if I click on one of the sprites, it doesn't show up there. Okay, maybe not. Double click it. There we go. So you can see the kind of the assets. Here's the sprite sheet that I made for the finish line as an example. I hope that's what you were looking for. If not,
You were talking about like the file browser was what I was thinking of, but that's over in the file system.
yeah,
It's just,
that is essentially the file system down here.
Yeah.
This is
That's
basically that.
yeah.
I just didn't spot them before. Yeah, that totally makes sense.
Cool. So at this point, I'm gonna start making a mini game. Just to kind of give a quick example of how Godot works. Initially, I'm going to make the minigame like independently of our game system. So so you could hypothetically do this in a completely new project. So I'm just gonna quit those out.
Sounds like a great idea.
Yeah.
There's one thing I would add
Yeah. Go
for
it.
scripts. Unlike other engines, well, I only have experience with Unity, so I can't speak for other engines, but you can only have one script per node.
Yes, that's important.
So like in Unity, you could have like a character object, and then you can put like a jump script, and then a dash script, and a I don't know, like a fly script. But like in Godot, you can only have like one script per node, so you'd have to make like a fly node and then put the fly script on that, and then put like the dash node and then put the dash script on that. So it kind of like encourages you to separate everything.
Yes, to make everything modular in that sense. So if example, going back to the minigame manager here, like maybe not the exact thing that you just said, but like a lot of these different things are broken into smaller bits, but minigame manager only has one script here. I cannot strap more scripts to it to like break up the logic. I'd have to write different things and then add more nodes to it. Yeah.
That's really good to know.
Wow, I created a node and then I can add a script to that one instead.
I think as we're starting to build all of this, one really good thing maybe at the end to go over is to set up a Unity project with our universal Git attached to it.
You mean a Godot project or?
Well, no, so we can do submissions, right? So we can actually have like a central engine or whatever that we're working out of.
Yeah, our plan would probably be to get everything for the baseline WarioWare game manager with some basic games in it, like onto our Git that people can just like clone. And then people can work outside of that. We don't have to worry about conflicts, because conflict management is going to be like a nightmare with this many people. But not if everybody's working in their own mini game.
Yeah.
Thankfully.
I mean...
Yeah, we just have to be ready to put it together at the end. That's all.
For sure.
So it's important that we have
integration.
Yeah, it's important that we have people actually are set up to integrate, even if they don't push until last day or something.
For sure. We'll come up with a process for that, but that's definitely something we should talk about beforehand. So thanks. I want to make.
I have a question.
Oh, yep. Question.
I'd like to ask before I forget. It is kind of more relevant to our project than it is to Godot as a whole. But I have 2 scenes I'm using for my current project. One is the game as a whole, and one is each individual bubble on a bubble wrap. Is that discouraged for our project?
Not at all.
Okay.
Yep. No, that's. I mean, I'm about to show that off. Actually, that is a great idea to break your stuff down into smaller scenes. As I was mentioning, a game like a node in Godot can be made up of a bunch of smaller nodes. And especially if you're making like 30 of them, you probably want to make your own example, save it as a scene, and then just copy that scene 30 times.
Yeah, that's exactly what I did. That's what the tutorial suggested I do. I just wasn't. I noticed that you hadn't done that for the examples, and I was like,
correct.
"Oh, is this for ease of compatibility reasons?" I'm not sure.
No, it's because I was lazy.
Oh, fair enough.
This runner could have been a node. This finish line could have been a node. They could have been separate things. In fact, I probably should have, but I was like, I was testing the minigame manager at that point, so I just needed something.
Yeah, fair enough.
So yeah, what I did was poor. Yours is correct. Good job.
Well, I don't think it's lazy. Like, it's useful in your case, Cozy, where you've got something that you need to clone and repeat multiple times. But like in Brian's case, where his character is just going to be used here, there's no sense in making it into like a separate scene, because it's not going to be used anywhere else.
Which then I bring up the moonwalk minigame, where it's used somewhere else, and I could have recycled those scenes.
And in that case, you're super wrong.
I'm super wrong. Don't do what I'm doing. Ignore
do
all
as
my
I say,
advice.
not as I do.
Anyways, I'm gonna start making a new game here. So the first thing, sorry, and this is the last call for questions about all the stuff we just talked about before I start making a new thing. Cool. I'm gonna start. So I'm gonna just make a new 2D scene here. Boop. When you make a new new scene in Godot, it'll ask you like what they have. All scenes have something known as the root node, where it's like this is the starting point, and everything kind of just branches off from there. Usually, you can just get away with picking node 2D. But for now, we'll just do that specifically for the minigame. I'm gonna call this Meteor minigame, and this is gonna be a little game about protecting the world from meteors crashing into it, and you have a little gun that's gonna go back and forth and shoot them.
Nice.
So I'm gonna if you can picture that in your brains, because I didn't make a drawing of it. There's gonna be it's gonna be like, on the ground is like the Earth, and there's gonna be a little tank that goes left and right, and it's pointed straight up, and meteors are gonna come straight down, and you have to like guide the tank and shoot upwards. So space invaders.
Space invaders, yeah.
Do you have your sprites yet?
I do actually.
Okay.
I was gonna do a bit where I was gonna draw them really fast on the side, but I think it's funnier if I just tell you that. So I am going to start by creating the meteor minigame scene here. So there's nothing here right now. Another thing I can do is also right click it to attach a script. Since I know I'm going to make something new, meteor minigame script, it'll tell you all these things. You can usually leave them by default. And pick a path. I've already have a scripts path here, so I'm just going to put it in there. We're going to call it the meteor minigame. We'll put it, great. And this is a default script in Godot. We'll go over this in a bit, but first let's go back to the scene here. So in the scene, you can move around. You can like move things around, or move the camera around using the middle mouse button. You can click on things. You can do a grab select. I'm gonna add some stuff in first. First thing I'm gonna do is just quickly add a background. So add child node. Control is anything to do with like UI stuff specifically. Also, it lets me do, so if I put in texture, it lets me do this thing that I thought was cool, which is I can add a simple blank texture and then just stretch it all the way across. I don't know if this is good practice, but I figured that out, so haha. Texture rect.
Generally, yeah, it's fine. I think you can go in layout.
Oh, eh?
In the layout tab in the control.
Let's take a look.
On the right hand side in the inspector there.
Yeah, you can also do the like
just set the anchor to full rect. Yeah.
Bye bye.
There
and then it's gone, and then stretch it again. Yeah, I was trying to do it like Unity's UI, where it's like, you can set the anchors and also stretch the sprite to be the full screen. But anyways, point is, it covers. This is going to be a background. I want it to be not white because we're at. Let's see here. I can change the color if I go to theme. This is just. Yeah. Also, while I'm going through this, you can see that like whenever you click on a node, it just gives you like all the possible options for that particular node. So this is a texture rect. So up here, it gives me the texture rect options. However, texture rect, if I open up the node thing here, you'll notice that texture rect extends another node called control. So if you look on the right, it actually has it inherits all of the values of control, and then control extends node, canvas item, and node. And you can see those down here. That's a small thing. So if you can't find what you're looking for in the first node, it might be in a lower node. Is my point? What was it that changes the color? Is it material?
Visibility.
Visibility. Thank you. In the canvas item, and then there's two options: modulate, self-modulate. That just changes the color. I'm gonna make it black. It's nighttime.
Modulate is such a choice of words.
Wahoo! You can search for these things too. So.
Oh.
So if you know what you're looking for, you don't have to go digging like I just did. We're gonna call that space. You can also, if you have sprites, you can just drag and drop them into the screen. So I'm just gonna do that. Woohoo! Look at that. And now we have stars. Wow.
They're not twinkling.
I could make them twinkle, but this is a game jam, and I don't have time for that. So the next thing I'm going to do is, another neat thing you can do is now there's like 12 different blank stars here. You can actually nest them under things. So I'm just going to drag and drop all of these under the space thing and just hide them away for organization's sake. what do you need next? I'm gonna.
I have a question.
Oh yeah, what's your question?
Is there a way to lock items to prevent you from selecting them?
Oh, you mean like when you're fiddling around in this?
Yeah,
area?
yeah.
I don't know actually. Is there a way? People feel
There is a lock icon on the top toolbar. Does that work?
Lock. What does this do? Mouse lock selected.
Lock selected.
Oh,
neat. There it is. Okay.
Whoa. Now I can't. Oh, hang on. Move.
Fantastic.
Now I can't move it. Cool. Thanks.
Oh my god,
really
it was
cool.
driving me nuts earlier
We're
following the
learning.
tutorial.
Thank you for teaching us about that, Cozy.
You are welcome.
Thank you, Jason. Appreciate that too. So, so there we go. Now I know that this is because the background and the stars aren't going to move, so that's a great idea to lock them. I'm also going to save because I didn't do that. This is going to go into mini games here. Yeah, so the mini games now has the Meteor minigame folder. The next thing I'm going to do, save it up. Also, to real quick, if you want to test your game at any point, you can hit the little run button here. It runs the project. However, if I run it right now, it's going to run the full game because that's how I have it set up right now. So cool transition, and then oh boy, the moonwalk minigame. You all know that one. Anyways, so but if you want to test like a specific screen, like the one we're looking at right now, you can. There's another button, run current screen, which is F6. So you can press that, and it'll just load that one. So here's that. So I'm gonna be using that one because I don't want to run the whole game. Next thing I want to make is the ground, because that is the thing we're trying to protect. Call that ground. And this is going to... Haha, Game Jam. Boy, I can't wait to have proper textures from proper UI artists, and not my MS Paint 10-second things. Where's these?
Oh no, this is a real game. If you know the amount of stuff I've shipped in Final that was programmer art, it's
Hell
painful.
Yeah.
Woo!
Love me programmer art. And we're gonna call that. We're gonna modulate.
Oh, it's snowing.
It's snowing. Oh, it's so nice actually. Maybe I should keep it white. No, I can't. We're making it green because that's the color of the ground. How do I? There we are. That's good enough. And the next thing I'm actually going to do is pull up my notes. Actually, is what I'm going to do. Give me a moment. Does anyone have any questions? This is actually me just trying to stall for time. No one has any questions.
It'd be cool. I mean, this is all just stuff to preset stuff up. If we get everybody, I like that you can just put in the pixel size for the scene. Be good to have like the standard 1920 1080 as sort of our base, so then everybody's games don't go all wacky in sizes and shapes.
Yeah, that was another thing I wanted to talk about, was to actually like lock the resolution of the game, because I've just been using the default for these examples, but you can't
get that sorted.
Yeah, because you can just fun fact, there's the ground, cool, but you can just resize the window there. It's not great.
Ooh, love that.
I didn't try that.
Oh, that's the good
stuff.
It's
not great, but I'm sure there is a way to do it. I just haven't looked.
You know what you can do? Actually, I can show you right now if you're not sure.
Sure. Yeah.
You can go in the project menu.
Sure, projects.
Under project settings.
We'll pull that over so everyone can see it.
And you want to go under display and window.
Okay, yeah. So I saw these like viewport.
So that's the resolution. And under stretch, you see right now mode is set to disabled.
Yeah.
We set it to viewport. Even if you stretch the window, it should keep the same appearance.
F6.
Should we change this viewport width and height to 1920 by 1080?
Ooh, look at that. Ooh, that's cool.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah. Neat. Oh, thanks for that. Okay, learning something new.
So there's more things to tweak, but
yeah, we'll definitely have to standardize that for our project.
Basically, it's adding black bars wherever there's extra space.
Super.
Cool.
But
it'd be so much fun to do a square. If we did like a 600 by 600 or something, just to, I don't know, do that Game Boy vibe, you know?
It would be cool. A vertical.
Anyhow.
Yeah, play it on your phone. The hot new console, smartphones. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do here, now that I have my notes up, I'm going to make a ground collider for the ground, because when the meteors hit the ground, that's when game is over. Let me see here. Yeah, so to do that, I'm going to create I'm going to add in a collider, so add child node. And if you just type in collision, Godot has a collision shape 2D, what's it called, a node that we can use. It's going to give a little warning. It's going to say, oh, you're only supposed to use this as part of a child of an array 2D, rigid body 2D, blah, blah, blah. So I'm also going to add a array 2D here to signify to the collision shape 2D how big of like where it should be colliding. Inside of area 2D, this is essentially just, it allows you to set a shape. I'm going to, oh, did I close everything? Oh, it's because I'm filtered. There we go. Where's the part that lets me pick the shape?
It's in the collision shape 2D. You're selecting.
I would pick the wrong one. It's this thing. Silly me. Thank you. Yeah, so collision shape 2D. Sorry, I made a mistake there. It lets you pick the shape of the collision. So for this one, we'll pick a rectangle because it's... Ooh, wow, it's real big. We're going to try and make that match the green thing, so... Doesn't have to, but yeah, there you go. That's good enough. That's good enough. We'll just... Yeah, so if a meteor hits that box, then we're cooked. So... leave that there. So we've got the ground, the collision shape. What else do we want? And of note, this is like the simple version of doing. For people who kind of get how colliders in physics work, this is the simple version of it. You can use another node called rigid body if you want like proper physics. But for the scope of this thing, I'm not gonna bother. Next part is we want to make meteors to smash into the ground. So I'm gonna save that up. Make sure. Don't lose my work. The next thing I want to do is, yeah, as I said, it's going to make a meteor node. I could, as we were talking about earlier, I could just make a meteor inside the meteor minigame, but because I want to have more than one, I do want to make a single one that I can copy paste as much as I want. To make a brand new node, you can just click on the top here, close to like the 2D, 3D stuff like that. There's a new plus icon tab, and just like earlier. Pick a root node. I'm going to pick a 2D scene for this one. Let me see here. Actually, no, you know what? I'm going to pick a different one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make, because I know this one is going to be a collider, and I know the collider needs an area 2D, I'm going to make this an area 2D. And if I want this one to be the new root node, there's an actually, if you right click it, there's a make scene root option you can do there, and it puts that up there. I can just get rid of get rid of the old one. Gonna add that.
Oh shit! Are you serious? That's a thing you can do?
Yeah, no more having to be. Oh, I picked the wrong thing and undo and like delete the whole node and make a new one. I did that a few times until I was like, "There's got to be a better way."
Oh no!
Anyways, so I'm gonna make this one's gonna be a circle because meteors are basically round. And then the next thing I'm going to do is add in a meteor sprite. So this one, I'll just type in sprite 2D. This is just going to be a singular stationary sprite. And at this point in time, I'm going to pull up all those cool, where did I save them? Minigame sprites I made. So to import stuff into Godot is actually quite simple. All you need to do is pull up your file explorer here with all your cool pictures, and you're just going to drag them and drop them into the game. So
also some good pictures.
Thank you. I'm going to create a new folder here just to meteor. And then I'm going to drag and drop the meteor picture into here. Actually, while I'm here, I might as well just grab everything. Dude, that one, the gun. I think that's everything. Let's drag this over.
Earth?
I was going to use Earth, but then I decided not to, so sorry, no one gets to see Earth.
Damn.
So,
damn, that's a sweet Earth.
I'm going to drag the meteor. Oh my god, that's huge.
These are such
That's a big meteor.
It's big and medium.
I don't know if we can avoid that one, boys. That's a biggie.
Chatter, we cooked. I'm gonna scale that down a little. There's also, if in case you missed it, on the top left here, there are 4 little buttons. The mouse lets you just grab things. This crosshair lets you move things on axes. This lets you rotate. And this one lets you scale. Ooh, hold down shift and do like that. I'm just gonna eyeball it.
Hi, Roshi.
That's probably good enough.
It looks like a really scuffed Kodama from Spirited Away.
No. He's like, oh god.
I'm also gonna drag the collider to be kind of there. And also the order matters in Godot, like things that are like if you want to layer them. I for colliding and sprite, I don't think it really matters, but I want to be able to. Oh, fuck,
Could you mask your collision? Is that too much of an ask?
You can put it behind the sprite, on top of the sprite.
It
and
won't.
It'll put the sprite on top of it.
You can just set the collision layers using the layers.
Yes.
No, but like if you take like your collision shape object and put it on top of the sprite, it'll put the sprite in front of your collision shape.
Oh, does it? Wait, sorry. Say that one more time. I like.
If you take your collision shape and you drag it on top of the sprite 2D.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Not inside, on top.
Like that.
Like put it inside again.
I apologize. I'm not entirely sure what I'm trying to do here.
Oh, no, it's okay. Like the order you have it right now, right? You have like the sprite first and then the collision shape.
Yeah.
Just reverse their order.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah. Oh no, I was deliberately trying to do that so I could see where the dang circle was.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, you can do it like that if you.
Somebody said like, can you hide it? Like,
yes,
yeah, you
yes,
can.
That's.
I meant like mask more like, can I make it accurate? So if I have
probably.
a complex shape like a star,
I think there's.
There is a.
there's a polygon.
There is a polygon shape 2D. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you want to like convey like all these different polygon shapes.
Even rectangle would be decent if you did unhooked the things because it's roughly rectangular.
It's true. However, from programmer background, a circular collider calculates much faster than a rectangular collider. But
really?
You know what? I didn't come here to play optimally, so this is what we're getting. But yeah, these are great questions, by the way.
Can I sneak a actually in there?
Yeah, sure. What's up, boss?
So if you want the meteor to scale, you can actually do everything underneath the meteor minigame scene. And then if you right click on a node, let's say like right click on the sprite 2D node here.
Yeah, sure.
Do save branch as scene.
Branch? Oh, save branch as scene, yeah.
So what this does is that it uses the sprite 2D as a root and then saves it out as an extra scene. So what you can do is make the asset in the original scene and then save the branch out so you can reuse the asset.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't realize you could do that.
Yeah, and I think when you do that, it right away instantiates the one you just saved as a clone of the scene you made.
Okay, cool. We could try it like that because I just made this in like 3 seconds. So no, don't save. So what we can do instead is make all that. But here, I want to try this. We're doing it live. Eric.
Doing it live.
Let's go.
Live. Add a child node. Collision shape 2D. That's going to be a circle. Then we're also going to add a sprite. Or I should have just dragged it into the scene, but whatever. And we're going to grab the meteor. There it is. Okay, so that's all here.
Meteor.
And then I can just scale that up. Scale it up. That's about right. Yeah, it's close enough. That's close enough. And then I can just call this the meteor.
You're not making this a scene?
I'm about to, actually.
Okay.
So this is what Jason was just explaining. So the one way to do it was to do that open the tab and then make everything and save it. But the other thing that Jason pointed out you can do is, I'm just going to, give me a moment here. Boop, boop, boop. Do it like that. Is you can actually right click if you're just like, you can make it in the scene. And actually I do want to make it in the scene here because this meteor is fat and I want it to be smaller. So I'm going to just, oh God. No,
Thick meteor.
It's too meaty.
It's meteor than the other one.
Yeah, it's meatier than the other one.
Scale the child inside of the parent to scale. I think you should scale the children inside of the parent to scale. So right now, what you were doing was
just
scaling
the
the
whole
parent.
thing.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Yeah, okay, fair. Let's start with the sprite. Okay. I keep forgetting to hold down shift when I do that. And then this one, I want to also just no scale proper there. Okay, that's close enough. So now I'm done with the meteor. I want to be, and I say, wow, that looks great, but I want to be able to copy this as a scene. So as Jason was saying, you can right click this and save branch as a scene, the meteor, and now I can go do this, put it in. I'm gonna make a new folder here and just call it meteor. I am deliberately not putting it in the minigame folder because of reasons.
Should we have a folder for
each thing?
Like sub scenes and a folder for the mini games? If that makes sense.
No, I get what you mean. Probably that would make it nice. The mini game and we're skipping ahead here.
Mini games and assets.
This particular mini games folder is where my code is reading like the different scenes to load them in. So if anything in here is not a full mini game, it's gonna break. To answer your question about making like subfolders just to organize things, I think that would be wise because I'm pretty sure another game is going to use a bullet PNG or sprite, or sorry, not sprite, or scene or something like that, and I would hate for them to get mixed up. So I think it's wise to do so.
Gotcha.
So yeah, Meteor's gonna sit here, and now with that, I can actually just drag and drop more meteors into the scene, which I will do just right quick. And let's just spread them around. Let's put you here. Let's put you. That's the same one. Okay. Let's do like that. Yeah. So at this point in time, if I were to run the game, nothing will happen because the meteors don't actually do anything. So the next thing I want to do is add some. I want the meteors to fall down and crash into the ground there. So what I'm going to do is open one of these scenes. So here's that scene now. The meteor is by itself. That's cool. And I can add attach a script. So your scenes meteor. No, I want you in the scripts folder. Scripts. We're gonna make a new folder here. Meteor. I feel like there's got to be a better way to organize things, and we have to make 3 separate meteor folders and 3 separate things. But that's.
I think the best for us is probably going to be to have everyone have their own folder under mini games.
Yeah.
And then you can decide how you organize like asset subfolders and scenes and scripts in your own mini game folder.
Probably. That is a problem for tomorrow, Brian. So today,
I think there's going to be so many of us that if we make like one folder for all the assets and one folder for all the scripts, like it's
it's going to be a mess.
It's going to be
a mess.
Yeah, I'm quickly realizing that. Yeah, I think that's probably for the best. For now, though, for this particular thing, I'm going to do it the not great way to really hammer in how not great a way it is. Anyways, let me close these other things here. Meteor minigame and Meteor. So, when we make a new script in Godot, it'll give us some things automatically. The first one here is the ready function, and the second one here is the process function. Ready is called the moment that the node is created, so you can think of it as like on start. And process here is called every single called every single frame that the game goes on. So if you want something to happen every frame, for example, you want the meteor to go down slowly, then you would put that logic in process. So I will quickly do that. Also at the very top, you can see that it has this line says extends area 2D. So this script is actually extending all the code that you would find in the area. Where is it? The area 2D script, which extends node 2D and etc. etc. So you can take existing nodes that Godot has given us and extend them for more stuff. That's cool.
I'm still not sure what that means.
Like
I could reference something that a Node 2D has?
Yes, actually, I'm about to show an example of that. So, as an example, every node 2D in Godot can appear in the game space, right? Therefore, it has an X position and a Y position. They have positions and they have rotation. They have a transform is the word I'm looking for. So if I were to click Meteor here, the one up here, and I were to go look at the node 2D and I go to transform, we can see that, it has a position 83, -403, has a rotation. I can change it if I want to. and stuff like that. So therefore, any class that that's not the sprite. Any script that extends Node 2D, such as Area 2D, will have that position, which I'm going to use. So if I type in position, it's the Godot will understand like, oh, you were talking about this position inside of the transform that is extended from Node 2D. I don't have to recreate that. So what I want to do is I'm actually just going to copy my notes because I don't want to type this again.
Yeah, Godot calls these properties.
Baba booey. So
properties.
Oh, falling seed. Hang on. Haha. So wow, look at me. I typed real fast. So
wow.
On the top here, I've created a new variable. It's called falling speed. It is of type integer, and the value I'm just arbitrarily setting is 200. The next thing I'm doing, called every frame, I want to get the current position of the what's it called, the meteor. I want to move it a tiny bit more based on the falling speed and what we call the delta, the elapsed time since the previous frame. Create a new position, and then I'm calling a function called set position. Set position is another Node 2D function that we are inheriting thanks to the extends call up here. So for example, if I deleted that, these are going to get real confused. So but essentially what this does is it is going to make the meteors go down some more. So save that up, save up the meteor. Also, slight aside, and you're going to realize this when you use the engine, is clicking these tabs up here does not change while you're in the script view, does not actually change the scripts down here.
I'm learning this. I'm learning this so much. It's so annoying.
God dang, if there's oh my god. Anyways, I feel you. But yeah, so if I were to go back to the game scene here and I hit F6, start the game. Oh, look at that, the meteors are going down. Yeah. Hooray! And they're just gonna pass right through the ground. Cool.
And then go to infinity.
Go down to infinity. So now we got that working. The next thing we can do is we know that the meteor has a collider, and we see that the meteor minigame has a collider in the ground down here. We can add some more code to God, my brain's farting right now.
Get them to collide?
Get them to collide. Oh, whew, thank goodness. Thank you for that. So what we can do here is use what are known as... Okay, where are my thoughts going? Give me a moment. Signals. We're gonna use signals for this.
I want to know that one.
Yeah, so signals are a really cool feature of Godot. They're not a unique feature of Godot. Like most games have like broadcast systems, but what they are essentially is it's a way for different nodes to communicate with one another. And Godot's engine plus the GD script, the way the GD script implemented makes it really easy to connect nodes together. So in this particular case, when a meteor hits the ground, I want there to be a signal for that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to the meteor minigame script here, and when the ground is hit by a meteor, his hit collides with something, I want a message to show up. So what I'm gonna do is go to collision shape 2D here, and if you go to the right in the inspector, you see all the cool inspector 2D. But if you click on node, the node tab, it gives you the option to look at what are known as signals. Each of these little red things, these are what are they called? These are different signal types that are part of the collision shape. Did I click the right one?
Yeah, you want area 2D.
I want area 2D. Sorry, that are part of the specific node. So, for example, area 2D provides all these different like area enter, area exited, collision object 2D, all these different ones.
I'm following along. Node 2Ds don't have any signals, do they?
They got a few ready.
Basic ones.
When it starts, that
oh, there it is. Okay. All right, I see them.
Yeah, no worries. So in collision shape, in area 2D, the one that we're going to use is one called area entered. If you read the documentation, oh, there it is. You just mouse over it. Emitted when the received area enters this area requires monitoring, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, so if you right-click a signal and you say, I want to use this signal, So right click it, you can connect. I click connect. It'll give you this little pop-up, connect a signal to a method. You can just kind of leave things by default. Receiver method on area 2D, area entered. You can give it a nicer name, like on collision, for example. You can also just leave it as default, but whatever. And you hit connect. It will automatically create a new function on collision. You can also see that in the on area entered, or sorry, in the area 2D in the signals, it has saved our on collision function. So basically, if anything happened, so in our game, if if this area 2D collides with something, it will fire this signal, and anything listening to that signal, for example, this on collision function, when it gets that signal, it will do whatever's inside. So as an example, I'll just print because we're getting hit.
What does void mean?
What does void mean? Great question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can explain that really quick. So a function in Godot and in programming in general, the idea is that they take in some input and they produce some output. Some functions don't need an input and some functions don't need an output. And if the function does not need an output, it just produces void. So as an example, I could have made a func, I don't know, multiply numbers function where it takes in x and y, and then it produces an integer out of it, because you would take x, you take y, and you multiply them together, and then you return some value.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
It does.
Cool. So that's what void is. Void, it just means like, oh, you can call this function and it's not going to return anything.
Gotcha.
So that's hooked up. You can also tell that where was I going with this? Yeah, so collision is hooked up. You can also see on the left side here, there's a little green symbol to show that it's been hooked up to this this target. Yeah, source is area 2D, signal, target is minigame. Cool. So now if I go and I save up and I go back to the minigame here. Oh, God. Yeah, so they'll hit the ground and you can see them say oof down here in the console. So now we know that this is being fired every single time. So that's how we use signals that's an example of how to use signals in Godot. I'm also going to make a really quick signal in the Meteor code as well. Let's see here. I was gonna write here. So because the meters are just gonna travel down to in like forever. So what I'd rather them do is I can connect this on area entered. That's fine. So if it hits something, I'm actually going to delete the object. And to delete something in Godot, you would call a function called queue_free. It's a bit weirdly named, and in Unity this would just be called destroy. But what it is essentially meaning is that it is queuing up this object to free it from memory. So on the next available update frame, it's going to just delete it and free up that memory. If that is semantics, but that is what queue free does. It just deletes something.
So it's like game object.destroy?
Correct.
Exactly. You can control left click on it if you want the documentation for it.
You can what? That's so useful.
Wait, how did you do that?
Control left click.
What? You can do it for node types. You can do it for anything. All the documentation is in the editor.
Oh, cool! I love that.
If nothing else, I'm learning that today. So thanks.
In the Brachio's tutorial, there was also the fun thing of you could delete the collider, but not the image, so the meteor would just stop colliding if you were doing like actual physics, which is very fun.
I've done that once or twice. So,
like for example, if you weren't sure like what area 2D does, you could control left click on it at the top.
Ooh, control left click. Here's area 2D.
And then on the left, like under it, you have like description, properties, methods, signals.
Yeah, description, properties.
So if you're looking for something specific, you can look at what the signals are, what they do.
That's so good, because like I was just pulling up Google and I was just Googling everything. I was like, oh, what is area? How do like area 2D, area entered sort of thing. So man, that's really useful.
Seem to work with everything though.
Yeah, I think it'll work with specifically like Godot stuff. So
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's JD script documentation, so it's only going to show JD script related stuff,
etc. Yeah.
the red keyword numbers like func and var aren't going to work. For example, area is a defined variable, so that's not as like new position I just made up. But vector 2D, that's a
we know what strings are.
you know what a
And if you're like me, after a while, you start getting like 20,000 document windows open, so you can right click on that window you're on right now and you can close all docs.
You can also middle click them to just delete them, to speed delete them.
That I didn't know.
Yeah,
that's good to
I figured that out. So cool. Yeah, please everyone keep asking questions, keep teaching each other. This is what this whole office hour is for.
Can
Speaking
I
of
check something with you?
Sure, boss. What's up?
So on the on collision function that you have in the minigame, meteor minigame folder, what if you call Q3 on the area 2D here?
Yep, it would also, this is another way to do it, is that you could also just area, and then, actually first, before we get into that, let's just test that this works. So, where'd the ground go? Hold on. Oh, it's because I'm focused. I'm focused on the meteor, so there we go. Again, the tabs and stuff are weird. So yes, the meteors will just disappear, but like Jason said, you can totally, and probably should be, doing it all in one thing. So you could also call area, in this case, what the documentation was saying was that area is the other thing that it's colliding with. So you could say, dot q free, not q redraw, to delete it. I am deliberately not doing that for reasons that will be obvious later. But yes, that is another way you can do it. Cool. Anyone other questions before we move on? No? Cool. All right, we're going to continue. So now we have the meteor going down. We got a meteor, and the meteor minigame is recognizing that it's getting smacked by a meteor. What do we want to make next? Let's make a gun. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to go here real quick. Let's go to the area. We got some meteors set up. I'm going to make a new thing. The gun is not going to have any collision, so I'm just going to make that a node 2D. You don't need to be there. You can be here. I said you don't have to be there. Get out. Get out. Go there. Okay. Gun. The gun. What did I write in my notes? Oh yeah, the gun's just going to be a picture, so. Sprite 2D. So this is, let's go back to the inspector, and I have a gun sprite ready to go. Let's just stick that in. Ugh, why are you fat as hell?
It's
because that's thick. That'll protect the earth for sure.
You know, let's leave it like that. I know why it did that. It's because I parented the node 2D transform, so the scale is all
the scale is
buggered. There it is. Nope, that's not.
You can just click on the reverse.
There we go. Thank you. So there we are. We want that to be a bit smaller. As funny as that is, that's good enough. So we can just stick you there. Oh no, I moved it away from the gun. We can just stick you there. So that's the gun. We want this to move left and right, so I'm going to add some. Actually, first, before I forget, I'm going to say branch as a scene. Now that we know it's cool, gun meteor. Yep. And now I'm going to open this gun script. Where is it? Here. No, gun scene. There you are. Here it is. I am going to add a script to that. We're going to call this... Actually, I can just freehand this.
You got to spell it right, though. There we go.
You could inherit character body 2D if you want to save yourself the trouble, too.
I could, but I'm not using character body 2D for this one. I just hard coded this. I just hard coded the movement for this one.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you want to do this properly, I highly encourage you to watch the Brackeys tutorial where he does make an actual like character that moves around. Like I was just like, when you hit left, move left, kind of deal. Where was I going with this? So, I want my fella to move left and right, so I'm gonna do that real quick. First, I'm gonna make a speed. I'm gonna give it a speed here. I'm just copy pasting notes I wrote earlier. So we're gonna make another speed. Const, by the way, is a special type of variable where you know it's not going to change. So sometimes you use that just to signify like this number is not changing throughout the whole game. what else we're gonna do here? We're gonna make it move. So wrote some code here earlier because I can't think right now. So first thing first is I'm gonna get the direction that we're moving. So this is how we get input in our game. So we have there's a special class in Godot called input. It has a whole bunch of, we can use that cool trick we learned earlier. Booey, we can go to the input class here, and it has a whole bunch of different methods for getting input. Specifically, the one we're interested in is get axis, and it's going to check whether we move left and move right. These are, if you watch the Brackeys tutorial, these are custom inputs that if we go to project settings, I have already set up in this what is known as the input map. So you can see that there's a move left will detect the left keyboard button or the letter A because WASD. Same with move right, move up, move down. So that's cool. Actually, while we're here, I need to add a new one. So I'm gonna call this fire, and we can add in a new keyboard key, the space bar specifically. You can also add like various other things like joystick and mouse and key, but for now I'm just doing keyboard and just the keyboard.
Should we do that for our projects, given that it's all going to be incorporated into one big project later?
This is going to be taken care of, so you do not need to do that.
Okay.
You can, in fact, I should probably add that in the documentation, is that you can just use these keywords like move left, move right, and eventually and fire, because we were saying like, oh, we're just going to do one joystick, one button kind of deal.
Okay.
But that's just an example of like, oh, this is how it works.
Mm-hmm.
I'm too lazy to type this again, so boop, there we go. Here's more code. So get access will return. Actually, we can just read it right now. Get access very simply will return input. I believe. Oh, it doesn't say it here, but it returns a number between like, I think it was 0 and I think it was like -1 and 1, being like, oh, if you're moving left, it'll be -1. If you return moving right, it's 1. So as a result, I get the old position being the node2d variable. I just get a new x position by multiplying the direction, the speed, and the delta, and I set that position using the set position function, creating a new vector 2d. Also, if you don't know what a vector 2d is, it's essentially just a type of object that holds two values. Very useful in math.
Two numbers.
Two numbers.
It holds two numbers.
Remember your math. I certainly don't. So if I hit F6 now, look at that. We got a little gun. We can also move back and forth. Woohoo! It zips.
Yippee.
Look at that lack of acceleration. That's the way I like it. So now we have a gun. It can move, but now we want it to shoot. So.
I have a silly question.
Yeah. What's your silly question?
The difference between a variable and a constant?
Yeah.
Is it what it says in the tin, the variable can change and the constant cannot?
Correct. So
cool.
if for example, I wrote like, I want speed to now equal 24 or something, it will complain that you cannot assign a new value to a constant.
Gotcha.
But variables like old position, I am now assigning the value of position and sort of thing. So yeah.
Gotcha.
That's it.
You're declaring variables in your code? You don't have to do it at the top?
You don't have to do it at the top. That is a...
The thing is, if you do it here... Oh, sorry. You can go ahead.
I was about to explain the concept of scope. Is that what you're going to explain?
Yeah, but... Sorry, it's your class.
It's okay. I mean, real quick, my brain's farting. I could hypothetically declare all my variables at the top, so like var direction could be up here, and old pos new x could be up there as well. But with the way that code works is that there's a concept of scope. In that, like, you notice how like all functions are kind of like tabbed out. Oh shit! Or like they're like, oh, everything in this first tab is part of the process function, and everything in this like level of tab is part of this if statement. So old pos and new x only exist inside of this if statement. So for example, if I go to ready and I'm like, I want to reference old pos, it will complain that is not declared in the current scope because it's not in the same function. Additionally, if I were to pass this if statement, like another line down, I'm like, I want to reference old pos now. I don't know, print or something, it'll complain because we are now outside of the if statement, so old pos and new x only exist inside of this if statement.
Okay.
They totally could be up here, but there are various reasons why you may or may not want to do that.
Okay.
The general rule of thumb is you kind of want to keep variables like in the scope that they are needed in.
Okay.
Just to keep
These are like super temporary. You don't have to keep around.
Correct. Exactly. Like you don't have.
Gotcha.
I do not need to remember old pos like all the time. Yeah. Notice that direction will work fine because it is still in the same scope. So, anyways, that's scope.
I see.
I don't know if that's what you're
kind of
thinking.
the same concept as locking a node earlier ago. So you don't accidentally change your old pos elsewhere.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So you could have like an old pos here, but like in another function, you could use that name again, and there won't be any conflict there.
Yeah,
You could use like old pos in various different functions.
It would be easy to read without it being.
Yeah, like I can use it in
like without there being a million different old pos 1, old pos 2, old pos 3.
Exactly.
For each and everything. Gotcha.
Yeah, that is.
I'm learning a lot.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, this is some of the stuff you are learning is like higher level computer science stuff that you learn in computer science school. So it's cool that you get to learn it here.
Cool to learn it with friends.
Yeah, in a cool, safe environment where everyone can ask questions and we all learn.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm gonna make a bullet.
So, nice.
Do it.
Let's go to the scene again.
What a transition.
What a transition.
We're all friends. I'm gonna make a bullet.
Make a bullet.
Grab your gun.
Yeah.
So the bullet is going to have a collider. So we're going to again do area 2D, and we're going to again collision shape 2D, and this is going to be a circle, and the area 2D is going to have a sprite. And the sprite's gonna be a bullet. Where's my bullet sprite? Guess who can't draw a perfect circle? This guy.
Not even with the training material I sent you?
No. No, exactly. This was my 78%. So I'm gonna shrink that down. Actually, is that about? Yeah, that's about right. Yeah, that's a good size. And then we're gonna make sure that collision shape is also big enough. And we can game dev, we're gonna just make it a little bigger just to make the player feel happy. So we're gonna call this bullet, and we're going to save that as a scene. And now
here's an actually for you. Click the button beside the bullet.
There are several buttons.
Yep.
This one.
Yep.
Open and enter. Oh, I like that. I like that. That saves me some time. I was wondering what that icon was. So yeah, that little is that a clapper and like the film things?
Yeah, it's like a film clapper.
Cool. And also, I don't need a bullet in the corner, so I'm just gonna delete that for now. Delete the node bullet, but don't panic. We did save it as a scene, so here it is. We're gonna add some code to this one as well. Attach script. God, yeah, I really need to fix this. Scriptes. Create that. What was my code for bullet? Oh yeah, it is exactly the same as the meteor actually, because it's also going to just set its position based on speed. So we're just gonna do that. Oh, you know, I actually skipped a step here. We're just gonna do that real quick. That's gonna work. It's fine. That's in ready. That's not supposed to be in ready. It's supposed to be in process. Yeah, so if it wasn't obvious by now, I did actually create this on the side, and I am just copy pasting my work.
Cooking show.
Yeah, here's one I made ahead of time, kind of deal. So this is essentially the same code. It's take the new position. It's going to be the delta times speed, and it's gonna make it go up essentially. And we can quickly, in fact, test that if I know we just deleted the bullet, but we can just very quickly sneak that back in there. Just make sure that works. So we're just gonna hit F6, and we're just gonna watch that bullet go up. Bye bye. Okay, it works. We can delete that. Don't need that anymore. So, the next thing we want to do actually, is... Oh, sorry. Before I get too ahead of myself, the thing I wanted to show off real quick was one of the other ways in... God, my brain's farting again. Sometimes you want to be able to adjust things in the inspector instead of just in code. So, for example, like if I click the meteor here in 2D, and I'm like, okay, cool, a meteor, and I can change a bunch of different things about it, like I can rotate it or whatever. But say, for example, I wanted to change like the speed that it's falling at. And I didn't want to keep opening up the script to do that. So one thing I can do is see this variable falling speed. I can actually expose this out to the inspector by using yeah,
oh shit,
using a tag called
serializing the field.
Serialized field. We're Unity now. No, it's not.
Wait, is it actually called
that?
No, it's just at export.
It is at export. So if you notice, actually, oh wow, it did it immediately. So if you put add export in front of any variable, it will actually expose it to the inspector here. So if you look on the right, remember how I was saying it's like, oh, like area 2D inherits collision object 2D and inherits node 2D, and it has all this stuff. Well, Meteor g.gd extends area 2D, so it is also a thing that will show up here. Now you can see we can actually change the falling speed of the meteor. So I go here and I'm like, well, I want it to go, oh god, that's the wrong way. I want it to go faster. Let's say 400. That's twice as fast. And I save the meteor, and I save it. This is important. Save it, and I go back to meteor minigame. Those 3 meteors I added will actually all change their falling speed to 400 as well. And if I start the game, then oh, they're going real fast now. Whoa, look at that. So that is another way. That's another kind of thing you can do is the at export. And I'm just gonna. And also, if you're like, wow, that sucked, I want it to go back to normal. There's a little arrow here that lets you undo your changes from the default.
Oh.
That applies to most other things. So, for example, if I change the position and I'm like, oh, I don't want it to be there, I can just undo that. Oh, excuse me. Where was I? And okay, anyways, so that's cool. You can at extend things to make them show up.
Can I ask a question?
Sure. What's up?
So normally, when you're serializing a field in Unity, it's because you're serializing a private field. Because most of the time, publics are visible in the editor. How does private and public variables work in Godot?
That's a good question. Which was going to be what I was going to say. Actually, I don't think there is privacy in Godot.
No privacy in
no
Godot.
Privacy.
No privacy.
What the
no
fuck?
Privacy.
I think the convention is to put. The convention is to put an underscore in front of what's private.
Yes.
So like in Python.
I think it's the opposite. You put an underscore in front of. Well, sorry, you might be right, but my understanding is you would put an underscore in front of functions that you would like to be overridden. But if are you saying for variables you want it to be private? So if it's like
for JD script, I think they go with underscore
thing. I'm just gonna call it int, I guess. If I do that, you say?
Well, it's more of a semantics thing there.
It's just a convention, yeah.
Yeah, so
it doesn't the editor is not going to be able to tell that you put an underscore and.
Yeah. So for example, I'm going to be putting oh whoa don't look underscore variable name.
So the crazy thing is the editor sometimes can recognize that. I actually noticed. Like for example, if I were to write inside of Meteor, I'll say set. And by the way, I'm getting this is a sidetrack thing. Test function.
No, you're right. I think it might not show up for the predictive thing as you're typing code.
Yeah. Oops. Unused parameter. No. I swear.
Like I think if you try to access test function in another script, I don't think it'll suggest it as you're typing it.
Oh,
if that makes sense.
No, I think it does because I thought it was because process and ready are designed to be overridden. That's why they have the underscore. In fact, actually, that was the convention I used for the minigame thing is that there's a bunch of functions I wanted overridden, and I did deliberately do that to the point where I swear to God I saw an error that said like, oh, we noticed you put an underscore in front of this function, but you're not overriding it. Are you sure? Like, do you want to override it, sort of thing? So that's where I'm like, oh, I didn't know that was a thing.
The error message I've seen is usually the opposite. It's going to tell you if you're not using something, put an underscore in front of it.
Huh.
like the delta in your process thing.
Yeah.
If you're not using it in your method, it's going to tell you like put an underscore in front of it if you're not using it.
If you're not using, yeah, I've seen that. In fact, that's actually the error it's giving right now. I think maybe it's for parameters and parameters and functions have oddly different ways to do it.
Well, like it doesn't do anything.
Anyways,
it's not going to break your code.
It's not going to break the code. This is just semantics. There is a Godot best practices page, which if you want to read and learn, like, oh, this is how generally you should do things. But yeah, to take a big step back, go to Beamer's question. Yeah, there really isn't there's no hard like privacy. There's no private, no public. And to take another big step back for the people who have no idea what we're talking about.
Yeah, that's me.
In most other programming languages, there is similar to this, in a similar vein to the scope thing that we just described, where it's like, oh, some variables can live in certain scopes. Actually, sorry, that was a bad analogy. I don't think it's.
I'm gonna go to the washroom really quick while you're.
Yeah, you know what it is. Go away. For some, in some programming languages, there's a concept of privacy where you can, in your code, you can make certain functions private. So similar to how new position is only going to exist in this function because I don't care, I don't want it to be seen elsewhere. And by other functions, you can also make certain things private. So if other people were to use your code or other classes were to access your script, they would not be able to see those functions. And it's generally done as both for actual privacy, like security, but for security, it's like, oh, I don't want you to see how I don't want you to call these functions. But it's also used for just to make things less confusing. So you can say all right, if anyone wants to use this class, use these functions, but don't bother with these ones because these ones I don't expect other people to use.
Gotcha.
That is a very quick explanation of how privacy works in programming. We don't have to worry about that in this particular in this project, but it's cool to know it exists. How do I get rid of this warning? I clicked the warning, it's not going away. Oh, there we go. Y'all having a good time?
I'm having a great time.
Nice.
Yeah.
I hate it.
Oh no.
Brian.
No, we need him. We need him. You can't do this to him.
Oh, we got. I haven't checked on the recording. I sure hope it's still recording. Yeah, it's still recording. Okay. Boy, that would suck if it's it crapped out in 5 minutes.
Start over. You over.
That's why I have mine too, and I even
you.
broke it into 2 chunks.
Oh, maybe I should do that. I'm gonna make a bullet. I've been chatting for an hour and a half. Let's take a quick break here. I'm gonna stop the recording. And I guess I actually need to go use the washroom, so I'll just stop.